and I will submit additional UCs without reading them regarding sanctuary cities and the release of violent criminals into the community. I have probably 50 or more articles I will submit for the record, sir.
Without objection. The gentleman's time has expired. The chair recognizes Ms. Lofgren for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think all of us acknowledge that the asylum system broke down. The system was overwhelmed, and I think it's worth noting that a majority of those who sought asylum in immigration court lost their asylum case. So clearly, people who are not eligible for asylum were admitted to the United States. Now, why is that a problem in the law? Well, Section 208 of A says this is a law that Congress wrote. Any alien who's physically present in the United States or who arrives in the United States, whether or not at a designated port of arrival, and including an alien who's brought to the United States after having been interdicted in international or U.S. waters, irrespective of such alien status, may apply for asylum. That's what the law that we wrote, and people responded to it, and in such numbers that the system broke down. We have never provided enough money to detain everybody who's seeking for asylum. We not during the first Trump administration, not during Biden, and not now. And so I think we need to address this issue in addition to other elements of immigration law that are not functioning properly. Mr. Beer, 208A1 provides this really expansive opportunity for people to come and apply. It broke down. Now Trump has tried to use 212F of the Act, basically to override the law. My recollection is that when he tried that before, he lost in court. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, that's right. 212F is about limiting the entry of people. 208A is about asylum. It's about applying for a benefit in the United States for people who are already present in the country. So it's not, 212F does not override the asylum law that you all wrote, explicitly allowing people to enter regardless of how they entered the country.
And so the law is such that if you come in between the ports of entry, say surreptitiously, you're present in the U.S., 208A allows you to apply, correct?
That's right. It doesn't matter the manner or the status that you have, you can apply for asylum.
For one, I think Congress ought to revisit that, and I think it's very clear the system has not worked, and that we ought to have a different, asylum is important. There are some people who are seeking refuge. This asylum was adopted by all civilized countries after World War II, and there is an infamous case of Jews escaping Germany who were refused entry to the United States and by Canada. They were sent back to Germany, and most of them were killed in concentration camps. And most civilized countries adopted asylum rules subsequent to that war. That's important, but it's important also that it's for asylees, not people who are seeking, economic opportunity. I don't dislike or hate someone seeking economic opportunities, but they're not asylees. So Congress itself needs to address this issue, put some order so that we can have order at the border, and then if we have a need for people who are meeting economic needs in this country, there needs to be a more orderly way to deal with that as well. Let me just quickly ask you, if you can, there was an assertion that the 14th Amendment doesn't mean what it says. Can you address the 14th Amendment question for us, Mr. Beer?
Yeah, so the 14th Amendment says anyone born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States is a U.S. citizen. And the subject to, what the executive order says is that all of these people who are children of guest workers or children of people without legal permanent resident status or citizenship are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, which is flatly absurd. That would mean they weren't here illegally. That would mean they're not subject to U.S. law, like a diplomat who has diplomatic immunity. Obviously, they didn't think through the implications of making that kind of declaration. It's totally out of line with everything, all other constitutional interpretation.
Thank you, Mr. Beer, and my time has just about expired, so I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Tiffany.